Hi everyone, this is Lauren coming at you from the Break Zone with another deck tech video. This one going over the Return That Deck to God list that was piloted by Nago Keisuke to win the Saga Masters over in Japan. This deck's pretty interesting actually. It has a couple of engines in it, such as the Phoenix, Urianger, uh, Cactuar, Layark engine, as well as the let's say, what was it, the dark package with Star Sybil and Shantotto as well. And it also has the minor combo inside. It has so many things in it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a very complex deck, and I would highly advise you to take a look at it, to give it a try. But if you want to test out this deck, you're gonna have to give it a couple reps. It's not something that you just pick up and go. So make sure that you know your matchups and play accordingly. All right, let's go over the cards. Starting off with Urianger. So he's one of your parts of your engine. What Urianger does, he gets you 1 CP monsters back from the break zone onto the field. I mean, he comes in at 2 for 2k, but the other part of it is that you're actually going to try to recur him in many different ways. We're going to have the Phoenix, both of them, as well as you could do like Minor or Fusoya engine also to get him back. We're going to go over the monsters later on as we go over the cards. We also have a one of Zidane. So you're going to notice this list has a lot of one ofs, and that's what I call kind of like a toolkit silver bullets type of deck, where you want to make sure that you use the right card for the right situation. And the good thing about this deck is there's so much recursion, getting things back from the break zone, that you don't mind them going to the break zone early if something does happen, because you're gonna be able to get them back. I mean, except for getting summons back, you can get back your backups, you can get back your forwards, you can get back the majority of your monsters. I mean, you can't get back Death Case or Calbrena, but then your Cactuars and Layark are gonna keep on coming back with your Urianger. So with Zidane, what you can do is, if your opponent is going for larger forwards, Zidane's gonna just be going in there and just dealing them one damage a turn, and it's a problem also for ice decks. Zidane has been a nightmare for them since way back, but he's falling out of favor because normally, since I think it was about Opus 3 drops have been more popular. I mean, we're talking about like Locke or the other version of Zidane, for example, while the other couple of versions of Zidanes are actually very, very useful. But the fact that you're running the 7-drop Phoenix and you can just burn them out, or you can use a combination of like Barbaricia, Dataluma, Cactuar, and Orlando to just burn out the smaller forwards if you want them to. If you want to do that, Zidane's going to be able to go in quite often, and not being able to target him is going to be very relevant actually. Next up, we've got Barbaricia as a one of also. So if your opponent doesn't have any kind of boosting effects, we're talking about the plus 1000 power backups. Barbaricia with Cactuar is going to be able to just break any forward that your opponent has on the field. So if they have, for example, let's say an Orphan, and they don't have Duke Larg to boost it up, Cactuar, Barbaricia, and bam, that's a dead Orphan. So there's just so many plays with Barbaricia and in this deck, that being able to recur her to get her back from the break zone using, let's say, the Minor engine or the Fusoya engine with Lulu is gonna be pretty effective. Next up, we've got Dataluma, 3 of them. So he's another key part of this deck. Being able to hold back larger aggros from your opponent is very effective, on top of the fact that he works really well with Cactuar. Next up, we got Camelot, that part of that dark package I was talking about. So Star Sybil, Camelot, and for example, like Chaos, or if you really need to get your monsters, you could actually go for Kefka instead. But normally, early game, what you want to do is you want to get to 5 backups. That's going to be key for this deck. There's a lot of plays in this deck that make full use of you being able to activate your backups. I mean, Layark is going to count on that, as well as Diablos. So you can use Camelot to go ahead and search out that chaos to fix yourself. Because I mean, in terms of element fixing, you're playing 4 elements, so you want to be able to play out most of your cards, so you don't have to keep. So you'll be able to pitch cards accordingly. You don't want to pitch the cards that you need, and being able to fix your elements by getting chaos with Camelot is going to be very useful. As I spoke about earlier with Camelot, Kafka is one of your targets as a dark character. Being able to search out that Cactuar or Layark as needed is in case you haven't drawn into it, or if you want to end the game and you have a bunch of Cactuars out and you've been able to wipe out your opponent's board, is going to be good. Next up, we've got Orlando. With Cactuar, he's very useful, as well as, well, I mean, you got both Phoenixes being able to do things. So go ahead and break damage forwards with him. And as I mentioned earlier, you're able to recur so many forwards in so many ways. I mean, we've got the Minor engine, we've got the Lulu Fusuyo engine as well. Going over summons, we've got Exodus in case your opponent goes a little aggro on you. Exodus has been effective for quite a while. Phoenix is able to get you back your Urianger and your Zidane as well. Diablo, so when you hit that critical 5 backups, this card is insane in so many ways, so many options. Being able to play this deck so reactively, to always somehow have the right answer to your opponent's aggression is going to be so good. For example, your opponent attacks with a forward that's 5 or above, 5 CP or above, and another forward later on that's 4 or below, or that they have another forward that's 4 below on the field at the time. You're able to break one, and if you have Dataluma in play with Cactuar, you turn the other one into a 1000 power forward, and if they have no boosts in the back, then you can Cactuar them. And even if they have a Minwoo and a Waka, for example, go ahead and Cactuar your Dataluma, hit them for 4k, and just wipe them off and break them. Or if you want to, you can activate all your forwards, which is not something you might have to do since you're going to recur your Layark, but you could do that. Or if you have more cards in your hand, go ahead and activate all your backups and just play out whatever you want. Last but not least, on the summons, we've got Phoenix. Being able to deal 8k and get a Urianger, and the Urianger gets a Layark, for example, means that you somehow got 2 cards on the field for the cost of 1. So if you subtract 2 CP per card that you gained, this is a 3 cost 8k. I mean, that's 8k damage. That's pretty awesome. And on top of the fact that Layark is going to get you another card when they attack, so technically it's like a 1 cost 8k damage. I mean, that's just insane. Alright, so let's go over the backups. There's a lot of one-ofs. Archer, in case you're facing a Minwoo and you really want to deal with it, or so many other useful 2 cost or 2 or 3 cost backups. Keep in mind you only have 1 Archer, but you're able to recur him with minors if you need to. Chaos, part of that dark engine we were talking about earlier, Camelot to Chaos so that you could color fix, element fix. With Mion, all your one-ofs that have an enter the field ability, all your characters, so it's not just backups, it's also forwards. So let's say you have a Barbarisha in play and you want to do another play because they have another really large forward. Go ahead, play that Mion, get your Barbarisha back to your hand, draw a card, play that Barbarisha back down, and then just break a guy. Break a guy with like your Cactuars and your Dalalumas. Or if you want to replay Shantoto, which is something people have talked about before, I wouldn't say that's always the best play, but if you need to, you can. Go ahead and just return a forward to a backup to your hand and play it again. Next up, we've got Riku. So with all this activating of your backups with recursions with Layark, you're able to mill down your opponent. On top of the fact that you're searching a lot, so if for some odd reason you go into the very late game and your opponent is able to match you, you're going to have to worry about the fact that you drew so many cards. Your Layark and all your searching is on top of the Star Sybil EX Burst. That's gonna start, and I think Melfina also has EX Burst. So Minfilia, sorry about that, has EX Burst as well. Is gonna really thin out your deck. So you're gonna want to be able to. That's one of the options that this deck has, is to mill out your opponent, or at least make them match you on the fact that you drew so many cards. Next up, we got Semi-Lafina, and she's really there mostly for that Star Sybil discount, but you can also use her as a way to deal damage to your opponent from to opposing forwards by the fact that you're just reactivating your backup so often. Fusoya is part of that Fusoya Lulu engine, and being able to return a forward to your hand is great. Miner is able to recur itself or any other backups, and then can also recur if you go into the I want my forwards more than my backups. You can go ahead and just keep getting a miner into a miner. But if you want to go more into the if you feel like your backups are more important to you right now in order to take care of threats that your opponent has put down on the field, go ahead and crack a miner to get another miner, and then play that miner out to get the actual backup that you need instead of each other. So instead of doing the recursion between a miner into a miner to get more forwards all the time, just go ahead and do it once, get a forward into your hand, and play out the miner to return the other backup that you need back. So that's why all those 1-ofs are actually very useful in this recursion engine. Next we got Minfilia. She's EX Burst. She gets your Urianger. So if you haven't drawn it, then go ahead and go fetch it. So with the fact that you're piling up your backups so quickly, and also you have Fusoya, Lulu's going to be pretty useful. With Fusoya, she's able to deal 2 instances of 5k. Fusoya enters the field, deal 5k. Lulu breaks Fusoya, gets you a forward to your hand, and deals another 5k. And in once in a while, you just might stun Naga as well. And if you put, so as you set up your board and you put up all those backups to try to get to 5 so early on, you might not always put the right combination that you want mid to late game. With Lulu, you're able to clear out the ones that normally can't break, such as, let's say, Minfilia, and you're able to make room to put in more backups. Next up, we've got Star Sybil, EX Burst, being able to fetch out that Kamlanot or that Shantoto as needed. And so early game, let's say you get to you put Star Sybil after you have a Semi-Lafina, or even if you put Star Sybil as your 4th backup, if you don't have the right color combinations, it's your choice to decide. It's up to you to decide whether you want to go the dark route in order to color fix, because you can go to Kamlanot, Chaos, put down the Chaos. Or if you need a board wipe and get the color, the element fix, go ahead and fetch out that Shantoto. And if you need to make room, go ahead and crack her, and you can get an Orlando, Kefka, Kamlanot, well, pretty much all your forwards, any single one of your forwards, you can put onto the field by just putting Star Sybil to the break zone. Shantoto, we spoke about her being able to be fetched by Star Sybil, and if you need a board wipe, she's one of the best. Next up, going over the monsters, Cactuar, being able to recur Cactuar with Urianger. So if you need to take care of something with 10k, go ahead, but for the most part, you want to keep it around for that 1k damage dole, 1k damage. Layark is another major part of your engine, allows you to be super aggressive, because if your opponent decides to swing back at you, you'll just reactivate everything, all your forwards, and draw a card. Actually, all your characters and draw a card. Sorry, that would have been such a big mistake. One of the strengths of this deck is completely Layark, and if it was only forwards, it'd be a totally different ball game. Being able to reactivate all your characters is so huge in terms of what it allows you to do. All your summons, that's why they play so many summons. When you reactivate all your backups, go ahead and play a summon out, and then start doing all your engine works, and activate all your forwards, and be able to just block if you want to. So It's a really good card, and I'm glad that it's being used. One copy of Death Gazer, you'll be able to go under if your opponent gets forwards that are a little bit too big. And yeah, it's been eroded, so that is a special level 5 death. But with only one copy of it, you're not going to be able to use it anyways. Last but not least, we got Calbrena. So this deck can be pretty funny. So you can activate Calbrena, have her swing in. If they block, she'll deal 7,000 damage, and she won't go to the break zone. She'll come back dull, so you'll have a dull monster. But with Layark, she's gonna come back active when they attack, and she'll be able to block if you activate her, and then she won't even break from it, and then she'll just come back dull. So she counts as, let's say, almost, you want to say like somewhat of a battering ram and a wall at the same time. You come in, you attack, you deal 7,000 damage to one forward, and all of a sudden your Urianger at 2k. It's as if it party attack with Calbrena. So it's little things like that. There's a lot of interactions, and she's also, once you get to 5 backups, that cost isn't the worst thing for you, because you're going to be using that those engines to recur everything, and you'll be able to reactivate on the swing back and just have her block whichever forward they decide to go with. So hopefully you like this deck. It is not an easy deck to pilot. Please put in the reps and the time if you're going to give it a shot. I don't think many people are going to be able to. This is not one of those decks that you're going to see like 50% of your field. Like if you go to a competitive event, half the people are going to be playing this out. This is a very taxing deck to play. If you actually make it through, let's say, 7 rounds of Swiss, and after that you have to go top 16, your brain's gonna hurt. But even if you put in all the reps and you know it like the back of your hand, this is not an easy deck to pilot. And this deck can go to time also. I mean, we're talking about a deck that might deck out itself or its opponent. So please practice this deck. Get familiar with it if you're going to take it out. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems. But if played correctly, this deck is a masterpiece. So hopefully you like this. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to just add them down below. We're still running the 500 subscriber giveaway, and as a reminder, we've got Lightning Plushie or Horizon Canopy. And if you need to buy any of these wonderful Opus 5 cards, go ahead and check out our sponsor at magicdeckgames.com. They should be refilling their stock again. And we'll catch you next time.